Okay, good morning everybody, and Chazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Welcome to all those that are joining and listening live, those that are following us afterwards on the recording. Chazak Baruch, Hashem should bless us, all of you, with all the blessings of the Torah, with tranquility, with peace of mind, with the time to continue to study and learn Torah, that your time should be used for all these good things. Amen. My friends, we have Parashat Mishpatim with us. Parashat Mishpatim, of course, is a very detailed parasha going through all of the different mishpatim, the different laws, civil laws, tort as they're called, that deal with man and man, all the possible situations, many possible situations that could arise, monetary disputes, they're all really found in our parasha. And each pasuk has pages and pages and pages in Gemara discussing so many possible different variations. Today I would like to talk about a certain pasuk that you would read it and say it has nothing to do with your life. But the truth is, we're going to see hopefully that it actually has much relevance. Because every pasuk, like the pasuk says, Kepatish yipotzet sela, the same way a hammer, when it smashes a rock, there's dozens of pieces flying all over. Every pasuk could be developed and it could actually be built into layers and layers and layers of ideas. So every pasuk that you read could be understood on a simple level, what it's saying, but it also could be alluding to something much more metaphysical, something deeper, something that's a little bit more abstract maybe. There's remez, there's drash, there's sod, shiv'im panim la Torah. So today I'd like to share with you one of the different ways of understanding what's a simple pasuk. We'll study first the pshat, we'll study what it's actually saying, and we're also going to see how this pasuk has much more depth to it, and it could be teaching us something very practical. So first, let's open the pasuk and read together what it simply is saying. Chapter 21, pasuk 35. Again, Parasha is talking about different cases of damages and money, etc. Pasuk 35, the pasuk says, "V'chi yigov shor ish et shor re'ehu v'met." If someone has an ox, and the ox injures someone else's ox, and the other ox dies. So this is something that could happen all the time, right? You have an animal, your animal sees another animal on the street, you're taking your dog for a walk, and your dog damages another dog, kills the other dog, jumps on him, kills him by mistake, on purpose, doesn't matter. You kill the other dog. What is the law? Monetarily, of course you can't bring the animal back to life. There's a lot of emotional pain for the owner of the dog. But bottom line, you killed a dog, you killed an ox. How much do you pay the other owner? So actually the pasuk says, how much would you say you have to pay? What do you guys think? How much did you pay the other owner? So the pasuk says, actually, you don't have to pay entirely. Rather, so you shall sell the living ox and divide its price. They shall also divide the dead animal. Basically, you have to pay half. How much did you kill? $1,000 animal? Basically, again, something that could be a little bit more complicated, but simply you pay half. Okay? You say, why I should pay half? I should pay all. What did he do wrong that he should split it? Why should the guy whose ox died, why should he only get compensated 50%? He lost a full animal. It's true, it's not his fault, but it's not my fault either. I also didn't do anything wrong. I have over here an ox. An ox, today, if you see an ox, maybe you get scared, but an ox is not a dangerous animal. It's a very tame animal. It's calm. So therefore, I'm not fully responsible, because at the end of the day, I didn't do it, and I didn't imagine this would do it. It's not my fault. I couldn't expect it to do it. So in the Torah's eyes, you only have to pay half. Okay. However, pasuk then continues and says, "Oh noda, but if you know, kishor nagahu mitemol shom, if you know that this ox developed a habit of being a goring ox, if it's dangerous in nature, if it already gored a few times, that you know it's now a dangerous ox, and it did it already a few times, and now you don't watch it, shalem shor ta'at ashor, now you have to pay a full ox." So Rabbi, you're saying something very sensible, that if this animal that killed If the animal that you own is a calm animal, so you only have to pay for half because you couldn't imagine, you weren't supposed to expect that it was going to do something out of its nature. You take it for a walk every single day, 1,000 times a year, right? A few times a day. Now, never, this dog of mine jump on another dog. All of a sudden something got into the dog. Maybe it ate some Moroccan fish or something spicy, who knows, right? Something got into the dog, and now he starts getting very aggressive. So Torah says, not your fault so much. You didn't know, right? But if it's a dangerous animal, if it already developed a pattern, if you already see behavior that it's doing this a few times, now you should have known why you didn't hold the dog on a leash. Now it's your fault. Now you got to pay full. This is what we call in halacha the shor tam and the shor mu'ad. Very famous case in Masechet Baba Kama. Many pages dedicated just to this topic of a calm shor or a tam. Tam, what does tam mean? Tam is one of the 4 sons. Very naive son, very innocent son. Tam, simple. So it's a shor tam. Maybe that's where the word tame came from. A tamed animal. Okay? If it's a tame animal, tam, then you only have to pay half. If it's a mu'ad, from the word warned, aid. If it's mu'ad, if it's warned, if you know already a few times that it's doing bad things, that's your fault, Mr. Owner. You have to pay full. This is a very famous case of the shor tam and the shor mu'ad. Now, again, like we said, there are many questions, cases that come out of this. As an example, Masechet Baba Kama talks about, is it possible to have an animal that's tam for parts of the week and mu'ad for other parts of the week? Could you have an animal that's bipolar? Could you have an animal that sometimes is calm and sometimes is aggressive? Gemara says yes. As an example, let's say you have an ox, it gored, and by the way, how many times does an animal need to gore or be aggressive to create a pattern, to develop a pattern of aggression? It has to be done 3 times. Okay, 3 times becomes aggressive. So the Gemara says, what if you have an ox that gored on Shabbat, and then all week long, it saw animals, it didn't do anything to them. And then again on Shabbat, it gored. All week long, nothing, and then the 3rd time on Shabbat, again it gored. So all of a sudden, this animal is developing a pattern for Shabbat aggression. Okay? Ba Shabbat, when Shabbat comes, all of a sudden, instead of menucha, it's the opposite. Instead of sleeping all day, the ox starts goring all day. Something happens on Shabbat, he gets into a bad mood. Some people also are like that. Okay? So sometimes something happens, Shabbat, he becomes into a bad mood, and this is a case that this animal, if again, it develops a pattern of aggression for Shabbat. So again, the halacha is that if it gores on Shabbat, you have to pay full. If it gores on a weekday, you don't have to pay full, because again, you weren't expected to know that it's going to happen. Because weekday, it's usually calm. The commentaries discuss, how could you have such an animal that sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's not? So Rashi explains, Rashi says, because what do people do on Shabbat? They rest. And I don't know if you knew this, but even your animal has to rest on Shabbat. Again, he doesn't have to go to shul, he doesn't have to eat lachmajin, but he has to rest. Your animal cannot work on Shabbat. If you have an ox, you're not allowed to plow with the animal on Shabbat. Okay, he has to rest. Also, that is interesting halacha. I don't know if anyone here owns animals that are being rented out on Shabbat, but it could be an issue. You have to speak to your rabbi about it. Make sure your animal is not doing any work on Shabbat. Okay? So Rashi says, because the animal's resting on Shabbat, so now guess what? When people rest, when animals rest, they become very bored. And when they become bored, they become very aggressive. They go crazy. They start jumping and killing and hurting, goring, right? Boredom brings out the worst in animals and also people, right? Shemum, to be bored in life is a very dangerous thing, right? Gemara even says that a man's allowed to force his wife, if she comes, let's say she comes into the marriage with a lot of money. Some ladies, they come into the marriage with a lot of money, and they have housekeepers, a butler, a driver, a chef, this, that. So she has nothing to do all day. She's sitting back all day. She doesn't have to sew. She has the tailor. She doesn't have to cook. She has a chef. She doesn't have to prepare the food. She has a butler. She has everything. So she's bored. What's she going to do? So the Gemara says, again, practically today, it doesn't really apply. But in theory, the Gemara says the man is allowed to force his wife to do some sort of melacha. He's allowed to force her to do some sort of work, because otherwise she'll be very bored, and who knows what she'll do with that time that she has. Free time is no good. Time is only good if it's used for something. But to just have time, if we're not aiming the time, if we're not directing the time, if we're not using the time for right things, that could be something very, very dangerous. Okay? So, ox on Shabbat is not working. What do you want from the guy? Of course he's going to start goring. He's bored out of his mind. Right? Also, a lot of times in school, kids, they're acting up, they're misbehaving. You wonder what's going on, what's gotten into him. Sometimes the kid is very smart and he's just bored. The teacher said something once, he got it. Now the teacher has to repeat it 15 more times because all the other kids didn't get it. And they're clowning around and this and this and that. And she has to repeat it. Hazit, the kid, is sitting there. He knows 9 times 3 is 27. He heard it. He knows how to do the problem. He knows, check your math. He got it. He repeats it again and again and again and again. What do you want from the kid? Go crazy. So boredom can lead people to do sometimes bad things. That's what Rashi says. So this is how you can have a case of an animal that developed bad pattern for one day of the week, for the Sabbath, as opposed to the other days of the week. Tosafot gives a very different interpretation. Tosafot says that actually, and you have to go back to medieval times to understand and appreciate this, people used to not have different clothing. Today, you open your closet, you have to scratch your head, what do I want to wear? Do I want to wear black? Do I want to wear white? Do I want to wear blue? I want to wear navy. Within blue, there's 17 different shades that we have. Then I want to wear something along the red line. Do I want something along the orange line? Do I want to wear something along the greens? Do I want to go yellow today? Maybe a little bit mustard, right? So today, right, you have a different... And then, how do I want to match it with the pants, with the bottom, with the shoes? Different options. Today, you could walk in the street and you see the rainbow. You see thousands of different colors. Okay? But in the ancient times, people wore one color all week. It was the same color, the same shirt. You had the same shirt. You didn't have 50 different shirts. You had black all week long. You're wearing the same shirt. Black, 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 black. But on Shabbat, there's a halakha. They're supposed to have a beautiful outfit. Special outfit for Shabbat. Often it was white. So now, imagine you're an ox. All week long you're seeing black. And then on Shabbat you see white. Starts getting stressed, starts getting nervous. He doesn't recognize, where did my master go? And because of this, says Tosfot, the ox starts goring on Shabbat because he's not used to the surroundings. You take a kid, you put him in a new school. You get very excited, very scared, very anxious because what's going on? I'm not comfortable here. I don't know. It's not my environment. I'm not used to this surroundings. So says Tosfot, that's why the animal's goring on Shabbat, because on Shabbat he sees everyone's dressed differently. He can't take it. He doesn't know who they are. Where am I? What happened? Right? Very interesting. By the way, there's a very interesting case. Many years ago, a lady came to Rogachover, Rabbi Rosen. She came to him with the following dilemma. She said, my baby, I'm nursing, and the baby eats all week long, but for some reason on Shabbat, my baby refuses to nurse. I try. The baby refuses to nurse. I don't know what to do. And then Saturday night, normal again. All of a sudden, Shabbat, it's like something happened on Shabbat that the baby doesn't want to eat. He's fasting all Shabbat long. So the Rogachover, without missing a heartbeat, he says, what are you talking about? It's a simple Tosafot in Masechet Baba Kama, page 37. He's like, what are you talking about? He says, Tosafot explains that the reason the ox is goring only on Shabbat is because he's not used to the clothing the people are wearing. The baby as well is not eating from you because he doesn't recognize you. He doesn't know who's mom. He sees on Shabbat you're wearing different clothing. Therefore, on Shabbat, wear your weekday clothing when you're nursing, and you'll see the problem will resolve itself. And sure enough, my friends, unbelievable. The mother on Shabbat would wear her regular weekday clothing, and like the rabbi said, the baby had no problem nursing on Shabbat. So it's amazing how the rabbis were able to find the answers to even regular problems from the most of interesting places. Animals goring, right? Okay. Now coming back to our cases. So we have over here 2 types of ox. You have an ox that's tam, and you have an ox that's mu'ad. You have an ox that is calm, tame, tam, and you have an ox that is created a pattern of aggression. These are the two types. Could an animal that's calm, and again, some animals in their nature, they're just wild. That's from day one, you're liable to watch it. If you buy a lion, you don't have 3 strikes. We don't say wait 3 times. A lion is known from the beginning to be aggressive. From the beginning, you have to watch it. But some animals in their nature, they're calm. A sheep, a llama, I don't know. It's the calm animals. Dog, maybe certain dogs, maybe yes, certain dogs, maybe no. But certain animals are calm. Now, he gored 3 times, he became aggressive. Is there any way for this animal to go back and redevelop a calm nature? Or no, once it's aggressive for life. So there are two ways for this animal to go back. One is that it goes through serious training. You train the animal again and again and again, just like they train shamu and all these other things, right? Other animals. You train the animal and you teach it, again, not to gore. When you see it about to attack another animal, hey, Sally, you don't go there. Don't touch that other camel. Okay? And slowly, Sally the camel learns we don't hit animals. Fish are friends, not food, right? Anyone Finding Nemo? Any Finding Nemo fans over here? Right? Fish are friends, not food. You have to teach the animal. Animals are friends, not food. Okay? You drill them. Extensive training till the animal develops, again, a calm nature like it used to have. You have to re-educate him. Beautiful. That is one way. But there is another way. There is another way for an animal to become, again, a calm animal. Again, you're talking about let's take a dog that's a very beautiful, cute puppy. Somehow something got into him and he became aggressive and he's killing everybody, jumping on everybody. There was once a man. This is a joke, so no one yell at me. It's a joke. There was a man walking. He sees in the street. Most interesting incident. He sees there's a funeral and car with a hearse, with a coffin, whole line of people following, all the way in the front. In front of the car, there's a man walking a dog. The guy never saw this custom. Walking a dog at a funeral. We saw musicians, we saw different things, but to walk a dog, we even saw dogs marching in weddings. But I never saw a dog marching at a funeral. The guy was scratching his head, he didn't understand. So he went to the guy in the front, he said, I don't understand what's going on over here. This funeral and people and line and dog. So I'll tell you what happened. I went to visit my mother-in-law the other day, and unfortunately, my dog over here jumped on her, bit her too hard, and she died. And this is the funeral for my mother-in-law. So the guy, he said, listen, I'm sorry to say this, but I also have a mother-in-law. And she gets under my skin. Do you mind if I borrow the dog? So the guy looks at me and says, wait in back of the line, Habibi. You want to borrow the dog? No problem. Get to the back of the line. Okay. So it was just a joke, everybody. Relax. So there is a halakha I'd like to read to you. I just want to open it up. I lost the page for a second. The Rambam, we know the Rambam has a book, Mishneh Torah, where he discusses many laws. And he has over here laws of damages. Okay? He talks about damages. He talks about everything, by the way. The Rambam, you should know, talks about everything, from practical to not practical. And he talks about Bet HaMikdash, even though we don't have it. He talks about every law you could find. Open the Rambam. Shulchan Aruch is not that way. Shulchan Aruch only talks about cases that we need. He didn't speak about the Bet HaMikdash. Okay. So the Rambam, when he discusses these laws of Tam, Mu'ad, a calm animal, a vicious animal, so look what he says. Shor shehu ad. Let's say you have an ox that developed aggressive behavior. Yes? Venimkar, you sold it. Or netan b'matana, or you give it as a present. Hazar letamuto. Its status reverts back to that of a tam. Shehareshut shenishtanet mishana dino. Because he has a new owner, he now has a new status. Wow! Unbelievable. This is a wild, wild Rambam. The Rambam over here seems to be saying something halachically hard to understand. If you have an animal that was vicious, and then you sell it, it somehow goes back to being tame, to being a tam. Why? Why should that happen? This is something that many of the commentaries try to understand and develop. What changed? Just because you sold it, now it became a calm animal again? So, Meiri says, Meshaneh Makom, Meshaneh Mazal. Even an animal could change his mazal. If you change his owner, change his mazal. Okay, others say, just like you could have an animal that some days of the week it's calm, some days of the week it's vicious. Shabbat, it became aggressive because it developed a certain pattern behavior. If that's the case with the weekdays, so same thing with owners. Sometimes the guy, just like the animal on Shabbat sees a new day on Shabbat, he sees people dressed differently. So to a new owner, animal could sense that there's something different in this owner. Maybe he becomes a calm animal. A good mashal, or by Y.Y. Jacobson says, is imagine you have a new day in school. What happens on the new day? Every kid comes in behaved. Doesn't matter what kind of kid you are. You could be a good kid, you could be a bad kid, you could be a wild guy, you could be a wise guy. Doesn't matter. On the first day, everyone comes in their best behavior. It's a new teacher, you're not sure. You want to give the teacher 2 minutes to see if it's the type of teacher that you can take advantage of, like all the other ones, or maybe this teacher is different, right? Usually, it's not different. Usually, the kid comes in, wise guy, he stays a wise guy, and he realizes, even this teacher I'm going to manipulate, I'm going to wrap around my finger, right? This is, unfortunately, the case. But at least for a couple of minutes, you come in, you give the teacher a shot. He says, there's once a horse, I don't know where he found the story. There was once a horse who had a very interesting, what's it called? Skill. Yeah. They say, what's more impressive than a, what is the joke? What's more impressive than a talking horse? A spelling bee, right? Ha ha ha. Okay, fine. But here's a horse that could do math. Look at this. They have this case of this guy. He would say to the horse, what's 5 times 5? And he would say, is it 1, 2? He would go all the numbers, and once he got to the number, is it 25? And the horse would start kicking. Right? Okay? So they said, wow, this horse could do math. 5 times 5. Any equation you give it, when you get to the right number, he starts making noise. Some people were skeptical. They said, it can't be. They came. They said, wow, it's true. They saw for themselves. Whenever the guy got to the right number, the horse started moving. But still, they weren't convinced. So they said, what will happen if we, maybe, I don't know, the guy's not really, he's not winking, he's not doing anything. But what if we put the man behind a wall and he talks through the wall to the horse? Same thing. All of a sudden, when the guy would ask, they would see sometimes the horse would get it, but all of a sudden he wasn't 100%. Sometimes he wouldn't get it right. A few times yes, sometimes no. So they started digging more. And then they realized, they said, you know what, let us try asking. They asked, without the owner talking, is it 1, is it 2, is it 3? And all of a sudden here, the horse got it wrong every time. 0% accuracy. What happened? They realized it's not a smart horse, but it's a very emotional horse. Animals in general are very emotional. They could sense the fears, they could sense the anxiety of their owner, of their master. And what they realized was that every time the owner of this horse, when he would say, is it 1? The horse somehow was able to sense in his voice, in his question, in the volume, something. He was able to sense that the owner was worried. It's not 1. Is it 2? Is it 3? And then when he said, is it 25? The horse was able to sense a certain relief, a joy in the owner's voice, that the horse started kicking. Understand? Again, maybe this proved that it could do math, but it proved something much deeper. That animals are aware, are astute to the emotions, to the sensitivities of people. So when you sell a horse, the Rambam says maybe, if you sell an ox, a dog, any animal, maybe with a new owner, he's able to sense that I should act differently over here. And therefore we give it a chance, and it goes from a shor mu'ad, goes back to being a calm animal. What an amazing, amazing idea. This is all, again, from the halachic aspect. This is what we call the pshat. This is what the pasuk is saying. But my friends, there's a lot that the pasuk is not saying. Like we said earlier, shiv'im panim la Torah. Torah could be understood on many, many layers, many levels. I'd like to share with you from Rabbi Jacobson. He quotes over here from the Lubavitcher Rabbi, from the different sources that he brings, a very, very nice lesson that we could take from here. And again, this is something that many of us don't relate to. I don't own an animal. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it's not something that's going to happen really every day, that our animal is going to hurt people. But the truth is, this is a very, very, very amazing lesson. And this could be understood on a metaphysical level, on a level that's not so, again, practical. It's not literal. We're going to take it over here to a new understanding. You know, every one of us has 2 souls. We all have the neshama, the divine soul, the tselem Elokim. That tselem Elokim is the part of you that's listening right now. It's the part of us that feels the conscious, the guilty conscious, that's pushing us to do the right thing, that's pushing us to give, to be other-centered, to be kind, to be forgiving, to grow, to be spiritual, to be better, to be more. That's pushing us. That's the tselem Elokim that every one of us has. That's maybe the logical. But then we have what's called the reptilian brain. We have the animal soul. Animal soul is, animals also have, it's a nefesh. Every one of us has an animal soul. An animal soul, what is it focused on? It's focused on survival. It's focused on comfort, right? That's what its goal is. And all of us has an animal soul. Every one of us deep down has a neshama, tzelem Elokim, but we also have a nefesh, and we have an animal soul. And that animal soul is born tame. It's Tame. It's calm. It's peaceful. It's good. It's good. But sometimes even the animal soul within us could act out, especially when it's uneducated, when it's not cultivated. It can become cruel. It could become selfish. It could sometimes become dangerous. It could turn into a beast. It could turn into a monster, and it could start doing things that are not healthy. Start learning addictions and aggression and different drugs and different things, causing pain to ourselves, causing pain to other people. All of this, though, we have to realize is normal. My animal soul, the fact that I can sometimes do things that are selfish, that are ugly, that are rude, that are mean, everyone here has an animal soul, and everyone here could mess up. No one's perfect, right? Augustine said, I err, therefore I am. Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Augustine said, I err, therefore I am. We make mistakes. We all have things that we do that we're not proud of. No one's perfect. That's okay. But no one expects us to be perfect. Hashem doesn't expect us to be perfect. That was yesterday's class, by the way. It's okay to make mistakes in life. If we make mistakes, it's part of growing. It's normal. I must be accountable for my mistakes. I can't just make a mistake and say it wasn't me and point up and their fault and this one's fault, right? That's the world that we live in today, unfortunately. No one wants to be accountable. We want to do the wrong things, and we want to show that it's not even my fault that I did it. I was influenced by this person, by that thing, this trauma. In Judaism, no, we're not expected to be perfect, but we are expected to be accountable. This is all under our animal soul. So again, one more time. We have a nefesh, an animal soul, that is focused on self and survival and comfort, and there's nothing wrong. Sometimes that animal soul could act out but it remains a shor tam. It remains a soul, an animal that's tame. Okay, it happens here, it happens there. But what happens when the aggression, if the behavior becomes a pattern? Sometimes a guy comes home, he yells at his wife. Okay, he shouldn't have yelled. Not excusable. But he understands, you know what, honey, I'm sorry, I had a bad day. I lost it. I'm not perfect. It's okay. I love you, honey. Happy Valentine's. I forgive you. Okay, it happens. A person saw something, was tempted to steal. Easy, no one was looking. I shouldn't have done it, but my desires got the best of me. I was seeking comfort. I was seeking pleasure. I shouldn't have done it, but I realized that it was a mistake. I'm sorry. It's okay. People can make mistakes. There's something called teshuvah, repentance. We change, right? We can do teshuvah. Beautiful. This is all okay, right? But what happens if a man every day comes home and yells at his wife? Every day the wife is criticizing the husband. Every day the guy is stealing. So now you can't hide anymore behind the fact that it was a one-time thing. Who are you kidding now? Now you can't say one time. Every day you come home drunk. Every day he's aggressive. Every day he's yelling. Every day she's mocking. Every time they're obnoxious. Now it's not a one-time thing. Now this became a pattern. This person already became an addict. Now it's not just a one-time alcohol. Now it's an addiction to alcohol. Now it's an addiction to sex. Now it's an addiction to drugs. Now they developed a pattern of mu'ad. Now it became part of their nature. Now you know something's going to fall. Oh boy, here it goes. Daddy's going to lose it. Why'd you drop the sauce on the floor? And it's going to become World War III. He's going to start making a whole fit. We're not going to hear the end of it for the next 2 weeks. You were late. Oh, why are you late? I told you never to. Now we know he doesn't lose it one time here and there. Every time the guy's yelling. Now he develops a pattern for mu'ad. Now this unhealthy behavior became his standard. It's the default is to yell. The default is to scream. The default is to be rude. You're walking on eggshells. The second everything you're tiptoeing because you don't want to blow it up. This is the person now. You already became a person who is an addict. This is the new norm. Used to be once in a while. Now you expect it. So he became a shor mu'ad. What does such a person do? Is it possible, my friends, for someone who's a shor mu'ad, for someone whose animal soul in us, we all have it. Sometimes our animal soul became a beast, a monster, in different areas. It doesn't have to be in every area. For one person it could be in this, for one person it could be in that. But sometimes it develops into a beast. What do? Is change possible? Is it possible to go back into being a Tame? Is there hope? Is there a future? Says the Gemara, there are 2 ways to go back. The first way is to train the animal, to sit down, to refine it, self-refine, what we call therapy, to really go through extensive therapy and to learn how to undo behavior, to learn how to view life and to pay attention to what we're doing. And again, every therapy is different, and please make sure that you see a professional. Therapy is something that needs to be done with a professional, not someone who's just knows things, right? Big mistake. Sometimes people come to a rabbi, myself included, and they want help with addiction. And a rabbi needs to know when to say, this needs professional help. I'm not a professional. This is past my pay grade. I'm happy to direct you. I'm happy to listen. I'm always here for you. I'm a rabbi, and I'll be your Rav, always happy to listen, but I can't help. You need help. You need someone professional. And I'm happy to be the liaison, and that's a rabbi's job, to know when to shift it, to pass the baton, to move the person, help them find the right people that can help them. Just because you're a rabbi doesn't mean you can help. Just because you're a mother doesn't mean you can help. Just because you're a father, just because you're someone who cares, doesn't mean you could help. Sometimes people need professional help. And to be there for them, to care means to give them that professional help that they deserve. Not for you to try to be the hero of the story. So the first way of changing the animal that's a tam, that's a mu'ad, to bring it back to being a tam, is to go through training, to teach the animal again, and to train it, to teach it, to educate it how to go back to being what it used to be. That is the first way. That's, again, what we call therapy. But that process, my friends, is only one of the ways. And that process can be very arduous. It could be very difficult. It could take a long time, as it should. And it's an excellent approach. And there is another approach, not but, and there is another way. There is another way. There are two different ways that an animal could become a tam. One way, like we just said, therapy. But we could also, the Gemara says, if you change ownership. And Rabbi Jacobson explains that to mean that in life, we have to realize that Hashem, every day, is recreating the world. Not recreating every day, He's recreating every second. Today is a new day, now is another second. HaMehadesh betuvo bechol yom tamid. God is renewing the world every day, betuvo, with His love, with His kindness. You know how kind God is? He's so kind that He's renewing the world. And I never understood this. Why is that kind? Why is that such a kindness that God's renewing the world? What if God just created the world and let it stay continued without renewing? It's like there's this added feature that God renews the world. Okay, what if He didn't renew the world? What if He just created the world and He let it continue? Again, He's overseeing it. But what if He just didn't renew it every second? What if it was just continued world, a continued existence from the beginning? Create it and go. What would be wrong with that? Why is it such an added feature that God renews? HaMechadesh, He's renewing with His kindness. He's so kind that He's renewing it. And if He wasn't renewing it, what if He just allowed it to continue without a renewal? This, right? I could buy a book and I have it forever. Or I could buy a book and the next day I'm renewing. It sounds like it's the second type and there's something additional. There's an added benefit in that system. What? What is added benefit? But maybe it is. God recreates every second. And today is a new second. It's a different second from the second before. Today's a new day. Person who changes ownership, that's looking at their soul, their animal selves. And again, it's not being passive. It's not denying accountability. It's not being lazy. But it's one sitting themselves down and saying to themselves, this is a new day. Today, it's a new teacher. Just like when there's a new teacher, you behave. How do you behave? What happened? All of a sudden you became a good kid? Yes, I'm a new kid because there's a new teacher. I'm giving myself a shot. Talk to your animal soul and say, you know what? Maybe today is a new day. Maybe whatever I feared yesterday, I don't have to fear today. Maybe my addictions from yesterday, I don't have to be addicted today. It's again, much harder. It's actually harder. It's not easier, it's harder. But it's another way. Actually, easier way is the long way. The easier way is therapy. This is not something that one should kid themselves and fool themselves into thinking that I'll do the second way. That's maybe lazy if you're just doing it as a cop-out. The real way, it's actually putting everything behind, my failures, my fears. Who I was yesterday is not who I have to be today. I don't have to be that person. I'm not locked in to those addictions. I can change. I can break free. I can start over. HaMechadesh betuvo, because there's a new teacher today. There's a new sheriff. It's a new person. What an amazing idea. What an amazing lesson from a story that we would seem a halakha that would seem to have no relevance to my life. But here we're introduced today to two forms of change. There is one way of changing, of therapy, of digging deep, of going all the way into the psyche. There is another way of changing, and that is telling myself, realizing that I'm not locked in. I don't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Who I am today is not who I have to be tomorrow. I don't have to do the same things just because I did them every single time. I could start talking nicer. I can control how I act. I can be patient. It is possible for me, if the food's not ready the moment I wanted it, to be able to close my eyes for a second and say, you know what? Every time till today, I was yelling, I was upset. Where's the food? I don't understand. Why do I have to wait? But you know what? I don't have to be that person. I can, if I choose to, see today as a new day. I'm a new person. I have a new owner. Hashem is a new owner every day, a new owner. I could be a new person. To see today as a day that I could grab literally the bull by the horns and I could change my direction of my life. The Radbaz, Rav David ibn Zimra, he was once asked a very interesting halakhic question. There was a man in jail and the warden told him that I'll give you 1 day a year off. Which day would you like? So he asked the rabbi, which day should I pick? Yom Kippur, Purim, to hear the Megillah, Pesach, what should I pick, Rabbi? You know what the Radbaz said? You know which day he should get out of jail? The Radbaz said, today. Pick today. Because today is the first day of the rest of your life. Today's a new day. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for the big day. Don't wait for Rosh Hashanah to change. You don't have to. Today's a Mechadesh Betuvo. Today could be a Rosh Hashanah. Actually, there's an opinion in the Gemara that God judges us every day. Every day is a new Rosh Hashanah. And it's true, every day. We could change today. We don't have to wait for Yom Kippur. I messed up my resolutions. I'll wait till Yom Kippur again. I'll start then. No. It doesn't have to be like that. Today could be the new day. Today could be the first day of the rest of our lives. So this is, I think, an amazing lesson that Hashem should help us and bless us and allow us to reshape, to redirect, to change who it is that we are today. What is it that we don't like? What vicious part of us do we see today? As if I could give you a little wand, I could say to you, wave the wand and change any part of your life. Who are you that you don't want to be? I am angry, I am tempted, I am selfish, right? And actually, Pasuk says that if you change ownership, if today something in our brains click, if we change, we realize that we're under new ownership today, actually it could be an amazing opportunity to be able to wave that wand today and B'ezrat Hashem to begin a course of change in the right direction. We'll stop over here, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.